Did you know that in 2025, in Cambridgeshire in the UK, the government ran a 3-day exercise involving up to 600 military, police and ambulance personnel, simulating the discovery of a deadly biological toxin at Papworth? The scenario included mass evacuation, improvised explosives, hazardous contamination, and full chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear deployment. Years earlier, in October 2016, the UK quietly carried out Exercise Cygnus, a nationwide pandemic simulation predicting up to 400,000 deaths. In the official scenario, half of the UK population became infected. Before that, a smaller tabletop exercise called Exercise Signet laid the groundwork. A pattern begins to emerge. What you make of that pattern is up to you. Let's look at what these exercises actually involve and why they keep happening. The Cambridgeshire exercise was one of the largest biological and chemical response simulations the UK has run in recent years. It involved military units, police, ambulance services, fire crews, and specialist counter-terror personnel working together over 3 days. The scenario centred on the discovery of a biological toxin in a public location, accompanied by explosive devices. Authorities established cordons, carried out mass casualty triage, deployed decontamination lines, conducted hazard detection and forensic sampling, and coordinated strategy across multiple agencies. The Home Office described it as part of comprehensive biological threat preparedness. When a government simulates a deadly toxin release with hundreds of responders, it raises questions. Why now? Why here? Why this scenario? In 2016, the UK ran a full national pandemic simulation called Exercise Cygnus. The scenario involved a severe influenza strain sweeping across the country. Half the population became infected, hundreds of thousands died, the NHS was overwhelmed, local resilience collapsed, mortuaries filled. The findings were clear. The UK would struggle. Coordination was weak, resources were insufficient, hospital capacity was inadequate. Then, in 2020, a real pandemic hit. Spanish influenza had been used as the benchmark for severity, and COVID-19 became the largest global outbreak since then. Is it coincidence that Exercise Cygnus was run just 4 years earlier? You decide. Exercise Signet, carried out in 2015, was a quieter precursor. It focused on pandemic planning, cross-agency communication, and emergency coordination. Its findings fed directly into Exercise Cygnus. Cygnus then predicted the exact vulnerabilities that were exposed years later. Drills, warnings, reality. A repeating cycle. In March 2018, a military-grade nerve agent known as Novichok was used in Salisbury against Sergei and Yulia Skripal. The toxin caused seizures, respiratory failure, and near death. Months later, an innocent woman, Dawn Sturgis, died after being exposed to a discarded container. This was not a drill. It was a real chemical attack on UK soil. After Salisbury, the UK increased chemical and biological preparedness funding. More exercises were planned, more training was introduced, more government documents focused on biological security. A chemical attack followed by intensified biological and chemical preparedness. Coincidence or response? Inside these exercises, specific threats are modelled. Airborne pathogens, surface contamination, toxic industrial chemicals, biological agents, improvised dispersal devices, mass panic. Responders must contain the zone, identify the agent, deploy protective equipment, run decontamination corridors, evacuate or order people to shelter in place, triage victims, control crowds, and communicate with the public. These drills closely mirror real-world attack patterns seen globally. It raises an uncomfortable question. Are these exercises reactive or predictive? In a real chemical exposure, symptoms can include difficulty breathing, burning eyes, muscle spasms, confusion, seizures, and unconsciousness. In a biological exposure, symptoms may include fever, fatigue, nausea, neurological effects, and delayed onset hours or days later. People rarely recognize what is happening at first. That is why drills matter. That is why governments simulate these scenarios. But again, the question remains, why now? Why Papworth? Why a biological toxin? Under current UK guidance, organisations are required to prepare chemical and biological emergency plans. They must understand decontamination, integrate run-hide-tell principles, establish communication chains, plan lockdowns or evacuations, assess local vulnerabilities, and train staff to recognise hazards. These are not suggestions, they are requirements. If this level of preparation is happening publicly, it raises another question. What exercises are being carried out quietly? You now know that the UK has run multiple biological and chemical drills. Exercise Cygnus predicted a real pandemic. Exercise Cygnet fed directly into that warning. Salisbury proved chemical attacks are possible. Papworth simulated a deadly biological toxin only recently. Government documents now emphasise regular preparedness for biological threats. You could see this as responsible planning. You could see it as a pattern repeating itself, or something else entirely. That is the dichotomy. The line between a drill and reality is sometimes far thinner than we think. Stay aware, stay questioning.